The Irrational Confidence Podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're talking college football. It is week number 13. We are almost to the end of the regular season. Who knew it? It would go by this quickly. Season always goes by pretty fast. I'm joined by my co-host, Fresh. How you doing, buddy?
Haps doing good. I mean, it's a slower week in college football before we get to Rivalry weekend and then the conference championships. But that's usually when that craziness really ensues, where you don't expect it. So keep an eye on not just the games we're going to talk about tonight, but all the other, I'm going to say, non-spotlight activity. It could decide bowl eligibility, strength of schedule for other teams and rankings. Like, there's all this going to come into play as we transpire here in the penultimate week of the college football regular season.
Yeah, you guys aren't going to want to miss our rivalry week episodes. Yes, I said episodes there because we put out more than one episode for a weekend that big. So hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Get notified every single time we drop a new episode. We've been dropping shorts almost on the daily, getting you small little clips of some of our best takes during the main episode. Engage with us. Leave us comments what your thoughts of. Fresh, before we get rolling into a couple of these games this weekend, because like you said, this isn't a huge slate of games. The committee puts out another set of rankings here. They are identical. My first five are absolutely identical with the committee. No qualms out of me for that. I think I know where you're going to take umbrage with him. And yes, there's the bingo word for the day, umbrage. But I will say this. Personally, me, no group of five again in there. And Missouri, Tennessee, and Illinois Tulane's in there. My bad. Tulane, I saw you at the bottom there. But again, I'll take umbrage with Tennessee, Illinois, and Missouri still being ranked for some god-awful reason.
Hey, first off, umbrage and penultimate. Either we're taking a brain pill today or something. I don't know, but we're using college words.
Right.
Illinois, sorry, you have no business being there. I think that right there's their effort to try to build up Ohio State's win, make their top 25 look better, but also USC. And that game that they should have won, they got the close loss. You kind of heard the committee members talk, and there's a bunch of nonsense they're spouting out, especially around Notre Dame and Miami, and they forget the fact that Miami beat Notre Dame. They say they value losses more than wins, which that is explains why USC is in there because they beat why Illinois is in there because they beat USC. It's just this committee, like again, the only thing that really matters is what comes out on December 7th, a Sunday, after championship Saturday. But all this cosplay, this theater is just for viewership and for us to do exactly what they want. Drive ratings, drive discussion points, build topics. It's infuriating that people like this, especially active sitting ADs are on these committees that make these decisions. And speaking of active sitting ADs, I believe we have a Utah AD on the committee now. There's no business in the world that Utah should be in the top 15, much less in the top 12. They faced BYU, got whooped up on. Faced Texas Tech. Yes, it was the fourth quarter, but they got absolutely destroyed in the fourth quarter. They'll have a win over Arizona State without Sam Leavitt before, Sims got going early in the year. I don't trust the Utah team. The fact that they're even in consideration it's terrible. And it shows really, I think Chris Felica, formerly of ESPN, now of Fox, made a great point. We're debating we're debating some of these teams when there's not even 20 teams that should actually be ranked in the first place, much less 25 or even more. And we're having to put 25 because there are 25 spots and it's historically the top 25. When it comes to the playoff expansion, we need 24 teams. No, you don't. We can't even get 16 or 12 good teams in the playoff. We can't agree on that. Another thing I kind of caught my eye, I was laughing, is we go five conference champions and the top four, 5 conference teams get a guaranteed spot.
Mm-hmm.
Miami, most likely, in all scenarios, is not playing for the ACC title, but they are the highest ranked ACC team. So it's great that they're ranked 12th or 11th, but they're going to get knocked out by Tulane and they're going to get knocked out by the ACC champ and not put in the playoff if it stood today. So when we put the stupid graphics out, like, there's Miami. No, it's not. Let's be realistic, folks. They're not playing for the conference championship, so they're not getting in. So why are you even wasting your time putting them in the graphic? Because that's not actually following the parameters of the playoff committee rules. Just because they're ranked 12, that keeps them in contention for an at-large spot. But if you have two teams that are going to be guaranteed spots below them, they are going to jump them in the end, no matter what. It's painful to go through this. And it's one other reason why this committee is figuring out these 12 teams is terrible, because if we're going by conference champions, but if they're not ranked in the top 12, teams that are ranked in the top 12 actually don't go to the playoff.
Right. And Fresh, you want to know the interesting thing is over the week, I got into a conversation about strength of schedule and using opponents' win-loss record and the totality of it, because I also use this to calculate. I included games that weren't played yet. So week 13 and 14, they count on your schedule and opponent's win-loss record. Out of teams in the top 25, this is one that if they lose, I wonder how far they drop, because their strength of schedule, when you do it that way, is the worst out of all of the top 25. And that's Texas A&M. And I was kind of shocked by that. Texas A&M has only beaten 2 teams with winning records as where we sit right now. They have the Notre Dame, and trying to think who the win week 9 is against, who was 6-4. Oh, I'm sorry, week 11. Sorry, week 11 is Missouri probably. But again, Texas A&M, I'm just really shocked about how low their strength of schedule is, and I wonder if they drop, because I did on a 100-point percentage, and their win percentage is 45.9. Using this system, you want to take a guess who has the toughest strength of schedule? I was quietly shocked, but not really shocked.
Georgia,
Oklahoma.
I can see Oklahoma. I mean, Tennessee is decent. They have 6 wins. That's going to qualify as a win. They have obviously already played Texas. They've had to play Michigan, which is going to be a ranked. The teams in there sort of all fill out. I can see. Yeah.
Do you want?
They've had to run a gauntlet.
Do you want them in order?
Sure. Why not?
All right. So number 1, Oklahoma, tied for number 2 strength of schedule is actually the Wolverines and USC using this metric. Number 4 is the Georgia Bulldogs. They come in at number 4. Alabama is in there at number 5. Oregon, and they are tied with Alabama and Oregon have the same strength of schedule on this. When you take opponents' win-loss record there as well. So you have them come in there. You got BYU coming in. You also have Ohio State in there at number 9. It's very interesting to see how this kind of all works out. There's an interesting thing that it's only about 10 percentage points that separate number 1 from number 12. But the intriguing thing is Oklahoma is 5 points higher than USC and Michigan. And then from USC and Michigan to number 12 is only separated by 5 points. So when you talk about it, it's intriguing, because I know people want to talk about strength of schedule, and I kind of let off that Texas A&M has the worst out of all of them. This was shocking, though, who the second worst was. So I named off like the main players. Ole Miss is in there. Ole Miss is not the second worst, but they are lower. They're at 48.4%. So Texas A&M is at the bottom at 45.9. Who do you think is lower? Who is just above Texas A&M?
Texas.
Nope. Indiana. Indiana's strength of schedule is awful too.
At Penn State, they're not conference is trash, and then playing Penn State, who completely bottomed out. Playing Wisconsin, who's terrible. I mean, Oregon's the only reason that they have anyone of substance on that schedule.
Right. So it's interesting that those 2 teams,
in Illinois,
Texas A&M and Indiana, are both like undefeated right now, and both have a sub 500 opponent win-loss record.
It comes back to your thing. You just play the games on your schedule, and
you
look at A&M coming into the year. They're like, oh my God, they got to play Florida and LSU and Texas, and then it's like, okay, well, LSU and Florida are trash, and Texas is 3 losses.
Yeah. All right, Fresh, let's get rolling into the games for this weekend. We got to talk about this one because of where they're positioned at. I think this is maybe their last great hurdle, although they'll say maybe that week 12. Let's start with the Sooners. They do have the toughest schedule. They got Missouri this week. They have LSU next week. Again, both Missouri and LSU are residents of Fraudville for us, but I won't be completely naive and say that neither one of these teams could pop up and bite Oklahoma if they're not careful. Because as great as that win was against Alabama, I still think that there are some flaws in the Oklahoma armor there that if you're given the right game plan, you could exploit them. Right now, Oklahoma is a 7.5 point home favorite. I think more likely if they're going to lose one of these two games, it's going to be to LSU. I just get that feeling on this one. I think Missouri's season's over ever since the quarterbacks have gone down. I'm wondering if Drinkowitz is going to be out of here sooner rather than later. What say you?
Drink's got to have to run. You've got to run. Like it's a point where you've been talking all your talk. You haven't actually delivered. You want to run before you're fired. Folks, that's a career aspect for anybody. If you can see it and you have a chance to get a job, sometimes it's better take the job and get out before you get canned. Understand your expectations, but also get your chickens like Marshawn Lynch said. Looking back to the Oklahoma game versus Alabama, you hit on something there. If you look at the yardage in the game, Alabama had 400 plus total yards. They were moving up and down the field. The 3 turnovers deep in Oklahoma territory has really, literally swung the tide. If they can not turn the ball over, they win that game going probably away handsomely. Oklahoma's offense was not moving the ball dramatically. They were just taking advantage of short fields or taking advantage of turnovers and killing some clock. Because they only had 230 yards, 240 yards total offense. Almost doubled, less than half of what Alabama had. So it's, hey, you win the game. That's what it's supposed to be about. They didn't win the game. Alabama turned the ball over. They do what they do. But if it all push and shove, there's no turnovers, Alabama's probably winning that football game coming out of there. So you have to be able to play a full complementary game. A defense for Oklahoma has to keep playing at a high level. I think they can shut down Missouri. LSU game might be a little difficult for them, but I think they can handle Missouri and keep themselves alive in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how these two teams face off with each other here, Fresh. I don't know. I like Oklahoma. I like what they're doing, but you're right. They gave up a lot of things inside the 20, but that defense is so opportunistic. They get after the quarterback. They force those turnovers there. I was blown away that Alabama turned the ball over that much in that game. I wonder if they can do. They were
one interception to the safety. He just stood back there. It was like, basically a fair catch. That defense for Oklahoma, Brett Venables, the dude can coach.
He can. We are so wrong.
Someone brought it up on Feinbaum. I know it was Feinbaum, but some of the callers be a little crazy, but he's a Clemson fan. And he's like, Venables owns Alabama. I was like, all right, well, 2 years in a row, Oklahoma beat him. And then he actually was DC for Clemson when they beat him for a national championship. And we're kind of like, oh, well, you know what? Different coaches, but when he shows for some time, his teams get it done. And he's got that organization now is much better. They have the general manager, Nagy, who used to run the Senior Bowl, now running their stuff. They're lockstep. They figured it out. They got the person out, and they're playing at a high level. If Mateer gets healthy and the offense gets on track, they can be dangerous. But right now, the defense travels. And in the cold weather and the playoffs, defense travels, and that's a big deal.
Yeah. All right, Fresh. Let's go to one of the games that has a lot of meaning this weekend. USC is traveling up to Eugene, Oregon, and the home of the John Belushi and Pinto and all the guys from Animal House up there in Eugene, Oregon. USC is 15th in the college football playoff rankings. Oregon's number 7. Right now, Oregon is a 7 or 9.5 point favorite. I apologize on that. 9.5 point favorite at time of record. USC needs this game. Does Oregon need this game? Do they have to win this to stay in the playoff?
I'll say first off, USC is going to have to desperate team because there is some fringe where they've had good wins, but I don't think anyone really believes them that they're actually legit. And if they can come out here, beat Oregon, they could switch spots in the playoff or convince the committee that there should be 4 Big Ten teams: Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, and USC. It's kind of one of those where if you're the Big Ten commissioner and you kind of know secretly through back channel that Oregon's in, that's where people start like, do they send a message to Oregon? It's like, hey, Big Ten, we get more payout, we get more teams in the playoff, nudge, nudge. How about you take one for the team? I don't think Dan Lang's that kind of guy. Oregon wants to win. And if it wasn't already a pre-existing Pac-12 rivalry where two schools don't like each other anyway, I think this one could, be toasting. But looking ahead to next week, Oregon playing Washington, that puts more emphasis right now on Oregon getting this win because Oregon-Washington is a rivalry that is nasty. It's messy. And Huskies actually are very successful in it. And if you get this win over USC, it does give you that cushion during the last week of the year. And you don't want to go in playing in a desperate situation in a rivalry game where your playoff hopes, or like anything, bowl eligibility or playoff hopes the last game of the year. It's never a good situation where you have to win to get in. So you get a ranked win here versus USC. You lock yourselves in. You put yourself in a great spot, make an impression of the committee. You kind of allow whatever happens next week to sort of be what it is, but you pretty much make an impression. Dan Lanning, And the way Moore's playing is getting better and better. They're running the ball better. If the Oregon defense can get after Miami and shut it down, we could have more of actually a low scoring ball game because USC and Oregon's defense both playing at a high level. I think if this game was at USC, it would be more in the Trojans' favor. But this could be at Eugene with game day on site, having a little more of a veteran team than USC currently has. I think Oregon's in a good spot. And it's Lincoln Riley, folks. Lincoln Riley versus Dan Lanning. I'm going to take Dan Lanning in that coaching perspective. I think Oregon ends USC's hopes, but it'll be the game for about the third quarter, and that fourth quarter, Oregon will pull away via depth alone.
I gotta admit here, Fresh, when are we going to start saying that maybe Dan Lanning might be one of the best college quarterback coaches in the country right now? Because if you think about the body of work he's had in the last couple of years, it's Bo Nix is a first round draft pick, who Bo Nix's career was like a dumpster fire, torched and like urinated on, then relit again in Auburn. And then he goes off to Oregon, and everyone kind of like, okay, ho-hum, gets with Dan Lanning and does extremely, extremely well, gets invited to New York for the Heisman, gets journeyman Dylan Gabriel, who, while a great quarterback, very smart kid, is well below 6 foot. I think both me and you are about the size of Dylan Gabriel playing high-end college football. Not saying that under 6 foot dudes cannot play college football at a high level, but again, what he's been able to do. And then he takes a guy like Dante Moore, who probably started too early at UCLA and sat a year
behind. Wasn't good.
Right.
Supporting cast wasn't good either.
It wasn't. And then he sits a year behind Dylan Gabriel, learns Dan Lanning's system, and then has performed admirably, especially with, at the beginning of the year, the wide receiver they lost for the year. At the beginning of the year. Evan Stewart, thank you. You got Decorian Moore, who is the highly touted freshman there. This Oregon team's so unique to me because they have won games differently than what we were used to in the previous years. They won those games with the offense. This year, they're winning those games with defense, and they've been very impressive, especially on that front four area, be able to get the pressure there. For USC, in my mind, if USC wins this game, then we're officially on the track of I think it goes a long way of forgiving the sins of Lincoln Riley. Maybe not in the eyes of Oklahoma, but the eyes of getting to an upper level and proving that you belong in those areas. Because all we've ever seen from Lincoln Riley is he gets to these big time games and he folds like a cheap suit. He winds up folding over and just his teams don't look prepared. If he goes into Eugene and gets blown out by Oregon, it's going to be same old, same old. In Lincoln Riley's credit, I got to give him dude some credit. I was very impressed, even though they lost the game. And again, the game's about winning and losing at times. He was impressive in South Bend and how competitive that USC team was against a very good Notre Dame team. They still wind up losing the game. But I think that majority of teams in America would go in and lose that game. And some of them would look a whole lot worse than what USC did on that Saturday night. I'm intrigued to see this. I would say as long as it's 6 or less points, I will finally sit there and say, okay, I think Lincoln Riley is starting to turn the corner. I think he is making strides. I think he's getting better. I think that USC, maybe not this year, maybe they don't make the playoff this year, but I think that they're trajecting in the right area.
And again, showing growth.
Yeah. And that's all we can kind of ask for a program like USC at this moment. Like, you can't expect them to go from what's happened over there to jump right back up into like national power and dominance there. But I want to see that. If USC doesn't deliver, though, it's going to be the same old, same old. Like, Lincoln Riley is who he is.
Yeah, I think we're at the point right now where it's funny with USC where they're now more a defensive football team than they are an offensive football team. And that's probably not a bad thing. Lincoln maybe has to learn, like, I don't need the flashy offense. Maybe I need more of a team focus where I can slow the game down. Because he wants to play at a high fast and high pace in the past and just score. Maybe you need to slow your offense down, kill some clock, save your defense, let them get 3 and outs. Then you go out there and just take your time, milk the clock, score, give them a rest. Like, change your philosophy. It's paying dividends.
Let me ask you this question, Fresh, here. Let me throw one at you real quick. And I kind of wish this is the time where I sometimes wish our producer Drew was in on this at times. If Dante Moore comes out this year, where would you put him in the pecking order of draft eligible quarterbacks for this upcoming year?
I haven't even thought about draft eligible quarterbacks, so I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't have him in the top 5.
Who would you have above him?
Well, like I said, I don't even know who the draft eligible quarterbacks are. But I just can see right now, in 1 year of starting, I don't know if I truly trust what he's done.
It's a good point.
And I'd have to see the full grouping to really even think that far. I'm thinking about the college football playoff. I'm not thinking about the draft yet, but it would be really tough for me to make him a top 3 overall. But look, we've seen Baker Mayfield get drafted number 1 overall out of nowhere.
So Murray
and then to use a current Cleveland Browns quarterback, college football stats and NFL productivity are completely different. People have been bragging for Shador. Most people knew he was going to be terrible. Some people called him to be drafted. He's not. His first start was terrible.
So his first start's this weekend.
4 for 16 in your first appearance.
That's rough.
Well,
it's just your girlfriend rough.
It's tough. We're putting expectations now on these quarterbacks, and there's not good quarterback development. These guys want to get to the league so fast that they aren't getting the time to really develop at the college level and then at the NFL level. If you ask, this year alone, maybe half the league truly has a great quarterback in the NFL. That's 16 out of 32 times 3. We're talking about almost 100 quarterbacks in the league. Not even mentioning injured. That's a very small number. And that's the best league of all. You're looking at college, like how can a guy who, yes, he's been on campus for a couple of years, technically is his 3rd year, out of high school. Could he go? Yeah. Maybe it's better suited for some of these guys to stay. Now, it brings up a point that we saw earlier today, or yesterday. Days are confused. Sam Levitt, the rumors of him going and shopping himself to go to Miami or another school and not Arizona State. Development for another year, get paid a college living for another year. And if you go to the pros and you suck, at least you have money in your bank account.
Right.
The run to the NFL isn't exactly great unless you're the number 1 overall guaranteed. And this year, the Titans probably if they're the worst team, they already have a quarterback. So then it's an unknown who that top person is if the trade goes up. So you're putting yourself into a spot. Do you actually want to go to that team? Do you not want to go to that team? Are they going to set you up for success? Like, who really wants to go to the Jets right now? Would it be better suited to go back for a year and work on your game in college and get paid NIL than go play for the New York Jets? Let's be serious. So I think there's a lot of factors and really listening. In fact, if you're in that situation, taking everything into account, maybe it is better to go back for another year of college, get better, get more fine-tuned, and make some extra money just in case your NFL career doesn't pan out, but you have some money in the bank account already.
All right. Fresh, let's go to another game that's going to have some big-time impact on the ACC. The Pitt Panthers, they're 7-3 on the year, 5-1 the ACC. They're traveling down to Atlanta to face the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech's 2.5-point favorite in this game here. Fresh, I got a screaming take on this one. I'm calling this the Celine Dion game. This is My Heart Will Go On by the playoff committee and the ACC conference commissioners. They are seeing their promising Jack never let go as their playoff dreams are drowning in ice cold water.
The ACC right now knows that Miami is in reality, probably not an option unless there's a lot of upsets ahead of them and they move into an at-large spot. But who knows what the committee is going to do?
Really, we don't.
They need Georgia Tech to win this game.
Yes.
Georgia Tech will probably play Virginia. Because Virginia, even though they're Virginia Tech, I think this team is playing in a great spot. You can't guarantee a win over Virginia Tech for Virginia, but it puts them they're the better football team right now. Put Tech in the title game. They go off there and win it, regardless of what happens to Georgia in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Black Friday. It gives you a legit quality football team going. Because I'll tell you right now, if Virginia was representing the ACC, I have a Pitt, JJ Lassiter, Cade Bell. I watched them play at JU when I was working at JU. I know JJ. I'm even saying we're Facebook friends. That's how old we are. I don't know if Pitt's football team would be the best resemblance in the playoff because look what happened when they played Notre Dame. Notre Dame ran the ball down this road and was much more physical. It was not fun to watch if you're a Pitt Panther football fan. I'm scared that would happen again. Georgia Tech is your best option. Miami has the flash and Miami has the logo and the NFL props, but Georgia Tech is your best option when it comes to the college football player to have success to win a playoff game. Because look what happened last year. Clemson, even though they gave Texas a run, they didn't win. They got absolute curb stomped by Penn State. You want to continue to be looked at as a joke of a conference. You need Georgia Tech to show up here and get it done, because Miami, when the lights are on brightest, they don't show up either. But it'll fit James Franklin perfectly at Virginia Tech, because he's not going to play any top 10 games, so he'll be just fine. Georgia Tech has got to win this football game. If they don't, and they're looking ahead to Georgia for revenge, wow. We can't, potentially have a Pitt Virginia ACC title game. What that, or even SMU or Louisville could sneak in. I think SMU has a better chance, but it just creates a whole conundrum that we've been sort of seeing since Miami lost their 2 games. Man, this is going to be messy. Georgia Tech, just get the job done. Grant Key, go out there, just full ahead, pin the ears back, run the football, be physical. If you're Pitt, this is your chance to redeem yourself from last week. Everyone's going to remember that. And then look at last year. You started off 7-0, you finished 7-5 in the regular season. You have a chance now. Like, oh, they had a great season, and then they let it fall off at the end of November. This is a chance to turn the tide of your own program and actually win big games in November. Last week was tough. Redeem yourself. Go on the road. No one's giving you a chance. Throw the ball around the yard. A challenge that Georgia Tech secondary. Push the ball with the passing game. Desmond Reed's healthy. Both your running backs are healthy. Use the running backs, and now that Heitzel has some big game experience under his belt, let him take a deep breath and throw the football. But the defense for Pitt, that's Pat Darby's thing. You're going to be a bloody nose, blue collar ball game here. Cool. Hit. Watch for Haynes King. He's going to have the ball, running the ball most of the time, be able to wrap up and do not get distracted and play physical football, play on your terms and not theirs. But buckle your chin straps, because if Brent Key and Pat Narduzzi are 2 guys who, that'd be like a heavyweight bout in the ring, and I'd pay to see that. This game, it could be high explosive offense, or it could be like a 10-7, just knock 'em, sock 'em, pain, blood everywhere football game. Old school. In the end, I think Georgia Tech is a better football team, top to bottom, and Tech will take care of business and keep the ACC in a good spot for having a quality playoff team. But Pitt could make it nasty, and that's why I think it's 2.5.
Yeah, I think Pitt might be smarting from that loss to Notre Dame, because, man, I thought they expected to be more competitive, and Notre Dame just went into Pittsburgh and just annihilated that football team. And I don't necessarily know if that's like a conundrum on Pitt, or if that's Notre Dame is really just that good. I think it may be a combination of the both. I said that this is a Celine Dion because I seriously think that the ACC and the College Football Playoff Committee right now is seriously holding like the mascot head of Georgia Tech buzz and saying like, every night in my dreams, I see you, I feel you. That is how I know you'll go on. And they're like holding on to this belief that they have even a chance, even if they get into the dance. They're going to get into the college football playoff. We talked about that, but I was kind of funny. Like the minute I asked you that in our postgame show, and you're like, no, there's no way the ACC could ever get left out. It's all about money. What happened the very next week on every pregame show, they're asking that question. I'm just saying, I think there's some producers at major networks watching our show right now, taking some of our bits and using it on their thing. Again, prove me wrong that that's not happening. I'm going to believe it is because, hey, we were a week ahead on that. With that being said, I've been high on Georgia Tech all this year. At 9-1, I think Georgia Tech is a better than the number 16 team in the country. I think this is a better team than Utah. I think this is a better team than a lot of those teams in there. I would actually probably have Georgia Tech, or I think I had them at 12, maybe 11, 10, somewhere in that area as well. 9-1 on the year. Your one loss is that loss to NC State on the road. It was a weird game there. You take a look at Haynes King did everything in his power to win that football game. He went for 500 yards of total offense in that. One of the best college quarterbacks out there right now. I think Georgia Tech is desperate. I also think there's this weird sub-universe that we could have where Georgia Tech, if they lose this game, but like pull off the miracle win the following weekend against Georgia, do they wind up like catapulting themselves into like a back-end at-large bid? But their best path to the playoff is going to be, and the ACC's best chance at this playoff is with Georgia Tech winning the ACC.
Yeah, I mean, Miami, you're going to need, if Miami's in, they're going to need a lot of teams above, like A&M losing and Alabama losing in the Iron Bowl, and then losing the Utah falling out, BYU falling out. They're going to need a lot of teams to trickle down for them to move up with not many games left to impress anybody. We've
Right.
seen it. We've seen Miami with the team
Yep.
who they had, and then you lose 2 ball games, but you beat Notre Dame to start the year. We're kind of like, okay, you had your chances. It was all in front of you and you choked. You have no one to blame but yourself. And that's where I think Hurricane fans and Mario Cristobal need to start understanding you have no one to blame but yourself. You didn't have to be in this situation. You put yourself in this situation. But Georgia Tech, you're in the situation now to control your own destiny. Go get the job done. As great as the stories would be, the Virginia Cavaliers in the playoff, Pitt in the playoff, SMU in the playoff, it would draw a lot of questions from how they're going to be seeded. And they're going to be a home team, but they really deserve it. It's going to be interesting to see. So Georgia Tech, get the job done. You don't have to beat Georgia. If you take care of this game, you don't have to beat Georgia. And that also takes a lot of pressure off of Brent Key. It's like, look, I've achieved my goal. I'm now in the ACC championship game with a chance to go play in the college football playoff. I didn't have to beat Georgia, but I'll get credit for playing them tough. And if people are going to remember what they did last year, that's going to help. But you just focus on the task at hand. Do what you need to do. Learn the lesson from going to NC State and losing. Learn the lesson from what Miami has done and choked. And handle your own business. Just handle your business.
Right. I like Georgia Tech in that game. They're fresh, but we'll see. We'll see if something crazy happens. All right, let's go to probably the wildest conference out west there. I'm still pulling for them. I know we've had some fun with BYU and the Cougars this year. They're going to Cincinnati, playing the Bearcats. BYU 9-1 on the year, 6-1 in the Big 12. Only loss is to Texas Tech. Only loss is to probably top 5 team in the country right now. They've got to go on the road to Cincinnati. Win this game, you're in the Big 12 title game. Right now, BYU is a 2.5-point road favorite. I like BYU in this football game. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't lose everything early. You want to make this whole thing last year, BYU. You want to take it easy. Don't get the shakes too much because we know what happens then. I like BYU in this football game. They're fresh. Cincinnati has had a wonderful year. I mean, better than anything I expected the Cincinnati to do. Thursby was fantastic this season. He's kind of come down to earth after having that just like blistering start this season. Cincinnati's a tough team.
Well, last week they looked ahead. They got high on their horse. They had home game coming out, gets Arizona coming in, looking ahead to BYU with a chance to play the Big 12 title game, and they laid an egg. How do they redeem themselves? That's what I want to see right now. They had, people paying attention. Oh, Cincinnati football, they're back, playing really well. I'm still not a fan of Scott Satterfield. I think that he is a little overrated. But Brennan Sorsby and that offense is playing at a high level. The defense is playing well. And you tripped over your own feet. The finish line is there, and you tripped over your own feet. You have a chance to redeem yourself by being BYU and keep yourself in the conversation. Where is the focus on this football team? We had all the spotlight on them a couple of weeks ago when they were playing Utah, and they went out and got the doors beat off them. They had a bye week at Arizona and lost. This team is reeling right now. Are they an early flash in the pan, or are they going to show some fight at home versus BYU with, look, you have nothing to lose. Your season already is in peril. You have nothing to lose. Just go out here and play your full-on effort. Try to really continue to shake up the playoff field and maybe get yourself back in the Big 12 title and maybe squeak out a win to keep yourself alive. But the only way you get there, the only way you truly keep your goals ahead of you is if you win. It's right there in front of you. It's within your grasp, but you have to be able to finish the season out. Or would you remember, well, you know what? How cute. Because you have 3 losses technically. You can't remember that. The only way in is a conference championship. And the only way you get there is by winning and beating BYU and hoping you squeeze in and play for a conference championship, because you lost to Nebraska and then you have the Utah loss and you have the Arizona loss. You have to find a way to dig deep and figure this one out. Or it's just going to be like a full loss, 8-4. That's cute. Congrats, Cincinnati Bearcats. Have fun in whatever mid-level bowl game. And then we'll move on to next season. I want to see what fight the Bearcats have. Can they actually get themselves off the mat and grow and be prepared for a battle? BYU, other side, you want payback? The only way you get payback is by winning this football game. You get payback by getting yourself to play Texas Tech in the Big 12 title game. That means you come out here, you handle business, you do what you have to do, you win, and you control the effort from the very start. Bearcats playing in Cincinnati, I'm not going to say it's a hostile environment on the road. Are the fans going to be loud? Are they football knowledgeable in Cincinnati? Yeah, it's Ohio, it's Northern Kentucky. They know what they're talking about. But I'm not going to say you're not playing in front of 95,000, 100,000 people. You can go out there and manage yourself and you get it done. You've played in hostile environments. You played the Civil War. You know what it's about. You played Texas Tech. You've already played very, very talented football team. You played in hostile environments. You know what it takes. Go out there and just do your stuff. Run the football, throw the football, play your tight defense. Your defense has been leading it with your running game as well. Be who you are and win the football game and let the chips fall within the after the fact. Don't be intimidated by Cincinnati. Handle your business and you'll be just fine. I think BYU takes care of business on the road. It keeps their chances alive for a Big 12 title.
Yeah, I think BYU is going to win this football game there. Again, Cincinnati has shown some fight at times. Great job out of them, Fresh. I don't want to discount what Cincinnati's done because, again, right, when we talk about, reaching the pinnacle for them. But going into the season, I don't think the expectations in Cincinnati were where they have achieved right now. I think that they're lucky. They're thinking, okay, we'll be lucky to get to a bowl game. Maybe we'll pull off a big upset through this year. I don't think they expect to be in the Big 12 title race this late into the season. I would say the same thing for Houston. I'd say the same thing for a lot of these schools over in the Big 12, because I would make the argument that the Big 12 has been one of the most competitive, entertaining conferences, top to bottom this season. I think the ACC has been kind of like a joke, like kind of a team playing hot potato of who wants to win that one. And then the Big 12 has been the opposite. Like everyone's trying to grab it from somebody else. Texas Tech has kind of taken it away from it. But up until about a week or two ago when they played BYU, like there's still a path for Texas Tech not to make the Big 12 title game prior to them being BYU. And finally they did. So again, I love watching these Big 12 games. I love this is going to be at 8 p.m. at night because there really isn't a great game at 8 p.m. on this weekend. So this is going to be a chance to kind of highlight themselves and showcase what is going on in the Big 12.
Yeah, and the Big 12, it's a great football conference. I'm going to say right now.
It is.
You're not going to, we saw last year Arizona State was really good, and BYU's been competitive the past few years because it's always a scrappy football team. Texas Tech is, showing that money pays off. ECU and Baylor are always that kind of scrappy. You never know what you're going to get from them. You might get a great effort. You might get a clunker, but they're talented to beat everybody in the league. It's in Kansas State, Iowa State, we thought was going to be really good. These teams have talent. If they play on their level, they're Jekyll and Hyde, but it's good football and it's Jekyll and Hyde. You just don't know what team you're going to get. And some of them are just good. Sometimes you just have good on good and somebody has to win the football game. I think that's also one thing in sports we kind of look at. It's like somebody still has to win the game. And unlike the NFL, there are no ties in college football. So you could have two good teams playing and just one team executes one more play than the other team. And they find ways to win the football game. It doesn't mean a team's bad, but in the end, wins and losses show where you stand. And you are who you are at this point in the year.
Press, you got a quick pick one? Anything that you want to take a look at real fast?
I got two, but one is really funny. Nebraska at Penn State. This is supposed to be two ranked opponents coming in. Nebraska on the resurgence with no Rayola. Matt Rule got the extension after rumors to go into Penn State. Penn State is preseason number one for a lot of people, and preseason top three at least. The bottom fell out. Drew Law got hurt, but the team was terrible anyway. Who knows what this game could be? This game could be 65-60, or it could be 10-3. But it's just the expectations of where that season started off was just nuts, and where we are now, where both are unranked, and it's just sort of a survive and advance mode for both these programs.
Both quarterbacks are out for the year too.
Yeah, it's just expectations and finishing the season. Sometimes it's within your control. Sometimes health most times a little bit both. Both these teams were showing signs of issues before both their quarterbacks got hurt. That just compounded at the very end.
Yeah.
Do you have a quick pick, Seth?
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at Louisville at SMU. I think this is an underrated game here. I think SMU, for some reason, I got an idea that SMU is going to win this football game. Louisville is a different team with Brown in and out, and I know that kid has been dealing with injuries all year long. So I'm going to go with SMU in this football game. Jennings is going to show out there. And TJ Harden, what he has done as well for SMU has been absolutely fantastic. The senior running back over there, he has really picked up the pace as of late. I love SMU in this one.
Yeah, look, that Louisville is interesting because there's a lot of talk. Their discipline issues and too many penalties last week, and missed field goals cost them that win and kind of choked for Clemson. Where's that fire come in this game? They blew themselves a chance at playing for an ACC title, but do they respond? Mm-hmm. Well, this should be a very entertaining football game, offensive heavy for both sides.
Who else you got?
I'll stay in the ACC. Florida State, NC State. Both are 5-5. Both are basically playing for bowl eligibility. At one point, we thought Florida State was going to be a shoo-in to have 6 wins, 2 months ago. They've rallied. They found a couple, wins late. And can they get a win here, get 6-5, 7-5 total if they beat Florida after that? It's a lot there in the cards for Florida State Seminoles, but also NC State. They were trending down pretty quickly. We have Dave Dorn blowing it up there and not really getting stuff done, kind of mismanaging tons of talent. But they're right there, 5-5. They got this team in North Carolina left. Can they get bowl eligible and move forward? It's just both the teams I think we had a more high expectation for coming into the year, and they both have really, maybe they are where they are, but if they took different routes to get where they are.
It seems like a lifetime ago that Florida State beat Alabama.
Oh, well, Florida State was 3-0 through 4 weeks. They were top 5, top 10 team. Miami and them were then, it's just that triple overtime loss, double overtime loss to Virginia, and the wheels just fell off, but they stabilized. Mike Norvell, he needs to win the next 2 games to really keep himself in good standing with the fan base of being 7-5, but they blew a chance of being a really good year. And then NC State, been waiting for Dave Dorn to really put it all together. They had a good run there a couple of years back. They were deprived of playing a bowl game and getting 10 wins for the first time in forever. And it just seems like it's a but every year. Like there's just one step forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
It's so funny because we've been doing this for 5 years now. Like to think back up some of the teams and players we've talked about there. Fresh, I'm going back over to the Big 12 here. TCU at Houston in this football game. Houston's 8-2 on the year. A lot of people will forget that part. They're on the back half of the top 25. This TCU team has been inconsistent. Hoover has been a really good quarterback for them. Legman, the journeyman as well. I kind of want to say TCU gets the road win in this one. I just get this weird feeling because TCU is only a 1.5 point road dog right now. I like that a lot. I like anything under 3.
Yeah, but under 3 on the road makes it pretty nice. But TCU is the one, like we mentioned, they are a team that could show up and you just don't expect it, but they have talent, just they're not consistent.
Right. All right, Fresh, let's play everyone's favorite game show that we've started this year. I will always have a new edition for you. We got a special one for you today. Fresh, you can get in to all 4 of these places this weekend. LSU is playing Western Kentucky. You can go see a game at Wisconsin. You can see a game at Penn State and Alabama. You can get a ticket for all 4 locations. Okay. Is the cost of getting one ticket for all 4 locations more or less than the following games? Is it going to be more or less than Colorado at Boise State or Colorado State at Boise State? More or less?
Less.
It is less. It will cost you $31 to get into Colorado, Boise State. If you wanted to go see TCU at Houston, is that going to cost you more or less than the 4 other games?
More.
It will actually cost you more to go to those 4 programs there. Arizona State at Colorado, more or less. It's actually going to cost you less. Arizona State at Colorado is $1 more than the 4 other ones. And Missouri at Oklahoma, would it cost you more or less to go 4 locations or that one?
More.
It would. It cost you $1 more here. All right, Fresh. Here's the fun part. To get in, the cheapest ticket at Nebraska Penn State is the cheapest. What dead president can you get in for? And I will tell you, a president, not a secretary of treasury or state or anything along those lines.
Give me $10.
That's Alexander Hamilton, sir. He was never president.
So I'm not looking at the presidents on the dollar bills.
$5. It would be Sir Abraham Lincoln. You can get into Nebraska, Penn State for a 5 spot. Is the cheapest game of the weekend. The second cheapest game is Western Kentucky versus LSU. How many more dollars will you need after you spend your $5? If you have a second $5 bill, how many more dollars will you need? Yes, you will need just $1 left. It will cost you $6 to get into Penn State. Now, understand, we were talking about that. It was $31 to get into Colorado State and Boise State. Right now, you could go to Penn State and LSU for $11. All right, Fresh. Illinois at Wisconsin is the next game.
You mean 9?
9, you're $1 too high. It is $8. So again, you go LSU, Penn State, and Wisconsin for a grand total of $19. You could use Andrew Jackson and get $1 back. You're going to need that $1 back because how much is it going to cost you to go to a game in Tuscaloosa, Alabama to see them face Eastern Illinois?
$10.
It is 11. You need $1 there. It is $30. $30 to go to, if you had a private jet, you could get into all of those locations for $30 total right now. BC State, Colorado State, 31. Colorado, Arizona State, $31. ECU at Houston is only going to cost $29. Missouri at Oklahoma is costing $29.
Imagine like $29. And this is, folks, I will say this. This is actually the week. If you are a season ticket holder and you can't make it to a game, I don't care who your team is, offer these tickets up. Go on social media, whether it's, you can send it, spread the word through Twitter or Instagram or whatever. But try to find a father-son, a father-daughter, 2 fans who have never been to a game that are fans of that school and sell them their tickets at these cheap rates for these kind of games. Don't put them on the open market. Help them out. This right here is what helps grow the game. It gives someone that lifetime, that bucket list experience. Now there's a sign. I know we're going to go to the NFL, but in Lambeau Field, in the tunnel, there is a quote that says, "Today is somebody's bucket list." Mm-hmm. In these kind of games, if you're a season ticket holder and you don't want to go see Alabama play, Eastern Illinois, you know what? There's some Alabama fans in that state who usually can't afford to go pay $250, $300, $400, $500 to go to a game on Saturday. They can afford to go to this game. Put it out there on social media. Try to find out who they are and find a way to get them these tickets. Help these people get to games in these stadiums that they normally can't, because right now, college football is being priced out. The NFL, in most cases, is being priced out, where you have to have a lot of money. You have to have a lot of open credit on your credit card. You got to go to multiple games, or you have to be a big wig season ticket holder, booster on top of that.
Or
these are the chances to give back and to help somebody who doesn't have a regular chance to get to a game at an affordable price to take their grandson, their son, their granddaughter, their daughter, their cousin, their nephew, whoever. Make it happen, folks. Look at these games on the schedules. Make it happen. Do the right thing. Help build the game and build your own fan base by giving them a bucket list opportunity.
Yeah, I agree here, Fresh. And again, I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to spend $400 for a ticket to go to a football game. I'm not.
Because then you have parking.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it at home.
Then you have, and then you have, it's time is money. Parking is money. Hotel is most likely, or gas or food. It adds up. It's an experience. If you have a chance to allow someone who has financial constraints to attend a football game, especially with a kid who has never been there and wants to go there, this is the chance. Do the right thing, folks. You get the chance to go to the big games. If these don't appeal to you, let someone else who will enjoy every second and will play and watch every single snap, because to them, that is the greatest thing. That's the best memory they'll have for a long, long time.
Right. And not all of us are blessed to live in a place like Jacksonville or Cleveland where NFL tickets are still somehow crazy cheap. So for the most part. All right, Fresh, you got anything else?
Well, I'm going to try to get back on the wings side here. My fresh pick, because Ole Miss didn't cover the spread last week, 11.5, and they won by 10. So thanks a lot, Lane Kiffin. Indiana didn't cover the week before. Thanks a lot, Penn State, for just choking that one away. All right, we're going Cal -2.5 in the game versus Stanford. Please, come on, Cal Bears. Just win by 3. Please, we need to get off the schneid. Let's go. We've got a lot of wind. We don't have a lot of cover, so we're halfway there. But we need you guys to cover. Give me the win. Give me the cover of the 2.5 over Stanford in the game. Let's go, Cal Bears.
Yeah, I like it there, Fresh. All right. We appreciate you guys. It's Thanksgiving season, so we thank you all for watching us along the way. We've had so many great interactions with you. Comment below. Let us know where you're watching from or what your favorite team is. We love that you're watching all the shorts out there. We've had multiple thousand view shorts out that are being released every single day. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. It helps us out. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't sign you up for anything. Just let you know every time we drop a new video. I love coming on there. Love interacting with you all. Love engaging with you. Special thanks to our producer, Drew. Without him, none of this is possible. Make sure you check out spinablesports.com. Next week, we are in Rivalry Week, so we will have 2 episodes out there for you, at least, maybe even more. I don't know how many things we're going to put out. We might record every single night here, Fresh. Rivalry Week is loaded. Engage with us on social media. That's all I got here, Fresh. Let's get through this weekend. see if any shenanigans or anything crazy happens. Hopefully, won't. And then it's the best weekend of the college football season, rivalry week. And please, dear God, please let Ryan Day take care of the business up in Ann Arbor. I can't stand another year. Please, God. I'm already praying. I am already praying.
Loses for that Michigan team. I might be speechless. But we'll see. It's still a week away.
We'll see. And I would have said the same thing about last year's team.
Yeah, that's true. I will say, folks, the guy to put down my cat that was 14 years old today. Hug your family and friends. Hug your pets. Enjoy every moment with them. Life is bigger. Be with your family. Be with your friends. Be with your pets. Show them you care. You never know how much time you have with them. With that, we'll talk to you all next week at Rivalry Week. Really appreciate keep the engagement on social media, X, Twitter, SpitOnSports.com, Spit on the Sports YouTube channel. Love to have you in the conversation. Love to see you guys' interaction. And until next time, we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all.